Let me ask you something. How many nights have you laid awake wondering why they changed? How many times have you asked yourself, why am I the only one trying? Why does it feel like I'm not enough? And the silence answers you back, louder than any words ever could. You gave your time, you gave your heart, you cared so deeply that you forgot what it felt like to be cared for. Let me tell you the truth, you've been afraid to speak aloud. The moment you stop overextending yourself for people who wouldn't cross the street for you, you start attracting those who would cross oceans to find you. You're not too much. You're not too emotional. You're not asking for too much. You're just giving your best to people who only want you convenient, not committed. Now listen closely, because I'm about to give you the realest truth about relationships, and it's going to hurt, but it will set you free. You ever notice how the ones you care for the most are the ones who end up hurting you the deepest? That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And it starts the moment you start giving more than you're getting. The moment you love louder than they listen. You bend, stretch, and twist yourself into knots just to keep someone who wouldn't flinch if you fell apart. Why? Because you think loving harder means they'll finally see your worth. But the truth is, the more you care when they don't, the less they respect what you bring to the table. Caring too much becomes a silent message that says you can treat me any way you want and I'll still stay. And people hear that message loud and clear. See, respect isn't built in moments of desperation. It's built in the moments you say, I love you, but I love me too. When you start sacrificing your dignity just to keep someone from walking away, you're already halfway gone yourself. That's how the disrespect creeps in, not all at once, but slowly, with every text you wait on, every apology you never get, every second chance you gave that should have been your goodbye. They start pulling away and you start chasing. They stop putting in effort and you start overcompensating. You're calling first. You're checking in constantly. You're forgiving faster than they apologize. You're loving for two people while they barely show up for one. And you tell yourself it's just a phase. You tell yourself, if I hold on tighter, they'll come back around. But that's not love. There's fear in disguise. You're afraid of losing them, but you're already losing yourself. Because what you don't realize is the more they see you tolerate their distance, the more distance they'll create. The more they feel they can get away with, the more they'll push the line. You don't even notice the disrespect anymore because you've normalized it. You've made excuses for it, and it becomes this silent agreement. They keep showing up half-hearted, and you keep accepting it like it's love, but deep down you know. You know you're starving for the kind of affection you keep feeding to someone else, and you hope that one day they'll return it. But love given out of desperation never returns with dignity. People treat you how you allow them to. That's a hard truth to swallow. You may think your kindness will eventually open their eyes. You may think your loyalty will convince them to change. But if someone can take and take and take and never feel the need to give back, it's because your overcaring gave them permission. It taught them that your love is a given, not a gift. It showed them that no matter how they act, you'll be there, waiting, hoping, begging. That's not power. That's emotional imprisonment. And it's not your job to teach someone how to love you at the cost of you losing your value. When you care too much, you turn yourself into their comfort zone. You become their emotional doormat. And they walk all over you, not because they're evil, but because you never said that's enough. People don't respect what they don't have to work for. And if you're always available, always forgiving, always picking up the pieces they shattered, you become the background noise in their life, never the priority. There's something dangerous about loving someone more than you love your peace. You start tolerating chaos, calling it passion. You start enduring emotional absence, calling it patience. You convince yourself that the silence, the mood swings, the lack of effort, it's just their way. And you stay. You stay because you care. And the more you stay, the more they believe they don't have to change. Why would they? When someone shows you they can neglect you and still have access to your heart, they'll keep doing it. It becomes a pattern. Your pain becomes invisible. They won't feel the need to grow, to show up differently, to meet you where you are, because you've already made it clear they don't have to. You've been carrying both ends of the relationship. You've been pouring from your cup, hoping one day they'll notice it's empty. But caring too much when it's not mutual is like screaming into the void, and it's exhausting. That's not strength, it's silent suffering, and you weren't born to suffer for love. You weren't put on this earth to beg for crumbs and call it a feast. You got to understand something real deep. Your heart is not a discount store. Your love is not on clearance. But when you care too much without limits, you start putting your soul on sale. You give your time, your energy, your affection, and they don't even have to ask for it. They just take. And they keep taking. And you keep giving. And before long, you're drained. You forget what you like, who you are, what makes you happy, because your entire world starts revolving around how to make them stay. That's the cost of overcaring. You lose your identity in the name of trying to be enough for someone who never deserved the real you. The worst part, they don't even notice the weight you're carrying. They just enjoy the benefits. They get the version of you that's always available, always supportive, always forgiving, while you get the version of them that only shows up when it's convenient. That's not love. That's exploitation. And it's happening because you cared so much, you forgot that you mattered too. Let me say it plain. They saw how much you cared, and they used it against you. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle. They withdraw affection to see if you'll chase them. They get cold to see if you'll fight harder to feel the warmth again. They go silent to see how long it'll take before you break and reach out. And guess what? Every time you do, they learn. They learn that they can play with your heart like it's a game, because you've shown them that no matter what, you'll always come back. That kind of caring doesn't inspire respect. It invites manipulation, and it becomes a cycle. They pull back, you give more. They disrespect, you excuse it. They ignore your needs, and you shrink them down to keep the peace. But peace that costs your self-worth isn't peace at all. It's performance. It's pretending. It's trying to earn love that should have been freely given. You're stuck in a loop of caring more and being respected less. And the only way out is to stop. Now, here's the kicker. They'll call you cold the moment you stop caring. They'll say you've changed. No, you haven't changed. You woke up. You realize that love doesn't require you to suffer. That loyalty doesn't mean self-betrayal. You finally saw the truth. The more you give to people who don't value it, the more they'll believe you were never worth more